So Grant's grieving because he's had the Walking Dead force spoiled for him. By his 2 asshole friends. I'll take partial credit.
So when did you find out? Were you just like reading up a wiki like from the East Coast?
I found about it. I was browsing through Facebook when I was checking to see why people were hating on this movie, and I saw some of the Walking Dead. I was like, all right, let's just find out who it is. I'm not gonna watch it. So I looked it up. What'd your friends say?
Pretty much confirmed.
So you said you haven't watched it, and you just kept going, oh yeah, he totally died.
Yeah, well, basically just said, oh, sorry. Yeah, it's like...
That's what I was saying to like, dude, have you seen this movie yet? No, let me tell you what happens.
Yeah, well, he didn't know that I didn't see the thing yet.
Have you seen the latest Shyamalan movie? Let me tell you what happens.
Oh, on that topic.
Okay, I can't fucking wait. We'll get there, but man, I didn't want to say who directed that movie because I want to see the look on your face, and it was totally worth it. But anyway, so we just got out of The Accountant. I like this movie. I know you're not a huge fan of it.
It was okay.
I think I was more fascinated by the subject matter because of what I do for a living.
Yeah, like... I think it's just, I felt like there could have been more explored with it, but I felt like a lot of the elements felt more...
I don't know, I felt like it was explored the way to the extent it needed to be. I thought what they did in some more subtle manner was plenty for me.
Yeah.
Again, because I kept comparing like the real life examples I know of.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, The Accountant obviously is the newest Ben Affleck action thriller.
Basically, he takes it once again, takes a page from his buddy Matt Damon.
Yeah, that's what I was basically like. I will be Goodwill Hunting this time. God damn it!
Goodwill Hunting / Jason Bourne with autism.
Yeah, the shaky cam bothered the shit out of me in this movie. Alan, man. That was like one of the major negative things about this movie. I'll say is like, fucking A, shaky cam. God damn it.
My main issue is just it felt like it. It was just all kind of, a lot of else just felt like it was all kind of hobbled together.
In a way, I could see that, but it just didn't bother me for some reason, because I think I just really liked the characters, and I thought I had really solid acting. So, like, the hobble together, it just didn't really bother me that much.
Yeah. It's one thing...
Not that I don't see it, it just doesn't bother me.
It's more or less like, well, unlike BFG, I had a similar issue. It was like, they felt like they kind of mixed, in some elements, it felt like they tried to mistake quirk with character, but unlike BFG, like you, I enjoyed the characters.
No, like that's, I think it's kind of the same in grace to me. Like, I could put up with a shitty story if I like the characters, and like BFG had a shitty story and boring and dull as shit characters, and here at least like, okay, I'm interested in. I think Ben Affleck had a really good performance. I love Shane, who the Punisher, who in this movie, he was just having the time of his goddamn life playing this character. Even like the fucking trainee killer had his brief moments like, what the fuck, like towards the end, which were kind of hilarious. Like, I want to say, like, as hobbled together as parts of the movie feels like, you really didn't need Anna Kendrick in there, for example.
You also didn't need the subplot involving, was it J.K. Simmons and...
I get why that was there, mostly for exposition purposes, but I agree you didn't need it necessarily.
Because, like, that slowed things down to so much. That was 20... I think like 20 minutes of content they could have easily cut out.
They put the reason they put that in there was just like that J.K. Simmons flashback scene and that like towards the third act of the movie.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I agree those are problem issues. Like, I'm not gonna pretend that's not the case. That being said, I still enjoyed those characters to an extent, and I still like I liked them. Yeah. I was rooting for them for a certain amount. I found like way Ben Affleck played this character was very interesting. I felt like they confused autism with OCD a little bit.
I was noticing that too. I was like, I figured they're just kind of. I thought they were just kind of bringing the idea that OCD is an element.
It can be.
Yeah, and that's what I was just figuring.
Like that's what like. To be fair, I mostly work with autistic kids, so I don't know how many of them transitioned into adulthood. Yeah. The scenes where they have autistic kids in there is very accurate, though. Yeah. But they're also like, I'm also noticing some very key like symptoms of OCD disorder more than autism, especially like the obsession to finish something. That's pure OCD. The way like everything has to be organized, that's more OCD than autism. That being said, when they show like kid at the end of the movie lining stuff up obsessively in a straight line, that's a symptom of autism. That's very very common with autistic kids. Yeah. Or like. And obviously, I can't go into specifics about clients I work with for confidentiality issues, obviously. But But I noticed in like the non-communicative thing where they use other like talkers and stuff like that. That's very common as well.
Yeah.
Like little tics here and there. Even kids that are like high functioning still have like little tics. I've worked with a couple of them, and you notice some patterns.
Yeah.
In a lot of kids, they all can have their own little. And of course, every kid is different. Honestly, like the one thing, like honestly, if I'm being really nitpicky about this movie, the one thing I kind of had a problem with was the way the dad's approach was to dealing with his autistic son.
I'm gonna turn you into a killing machine.
Yeah, well, not so much that, because I think the one key element I've seen in like every autistic patient I've ever worked with is that getting them to do what they want, what you want them to do, is insanely difficult.
Yeah.
So military dad is apparently just gonna talk Ben Affleck into it so fucking easily. Like, no, no. It would not be that fucking simple.
Yeah.
You'd have to have like, bribe the shit out of him. It'd be the only way you can get to do it. It's really. To be fair, maybe some kids just transition with it more easily than others, but I don't know. But I thought Ben Affleck encapsulated a lot of it very, very well. I liked, one thing I liked about the movie too, and they do bits and parts throughout the movie, where you can tell that there are some things that had to be explained to him, and I like that it doesn't need to be said that somebody explained to me, you can just tell by the way he explains it to somebody else. Like, the dogs playing poker scene comes to mind, because the whole thing is Ben Affleck plays the accountant. Obviously, he's like this almost like a super secret agent accountant who does the accounts for all like the big crime lords and stuff like that. But he gets called to this what was supposed to be a legit client, who's this science company, like prosthetics company, which is really cool.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated by that.
Done
shit.
by that actor whose name I suddenly keep frickin' forgetting, and it's gonna bug the crap me because I freaking love him.
Mm-hmm.
He was in He was in one of the Planet of the Apes movies.
Yes.
Was it?
It was in
Rise?
the first one. Yeah, Rise. Yeah. He was, of course, the trainee killer from Dexter.
Yeah.
Which honestly was the best season of that entire show.
And the best recurring guest of Colbert Report ever.
And doesn't even Colbert Report, but
he did. He quote unquote did his prostate exam on television.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It's like no, the joke is like, all right, someone did like the quickest something exam. I'm gonna have this guy do the quickest prostate exam on national television. Like
that sounds like a Colbert sketch.
Yep. Oh, this is gonna. Oh yeah, Jeffrey Tambor. I forgot he was there. John Lithgow.
John Lithgow. Okay.
There we go.
But anywho, so there's this part where while he's trying to figure out where like all this money disappeared in this guy's company, he meets like the other accountant played by Anna Kendrick. And there's a part where you can tell I loved their interaction though in the first one because it's made me laugh because again. This goes into category, you can tell somebody had to explain to him why he needed to sit there and listen to what they have to say, because she's trying to be friendly and like trying to chat him up. He's just like, you could just tell. He doesn't do it overtly, just by his eyes and just expression how annoyed he is.
Yeah. And how he just takes everything so literally.
Well, like, not even so literally. Like, he understands what she's saying fine. He just doesn't quite understand it on the level that she does.
Yeah.
That's the big thing about autistic people that I think is often misunderstood, is the fact that they understand a lot more than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
They just don't perceive it in the same level we do. But I love the fact that she's talking about, like, famous paintings, and she mentions... like, it's something like tacky, like dogs playing poker or something like that. And he goes, I love playing dogs playing poker. It's an incongruity.
Yeah.
Incongruities are funny.
Yeah.
and I love that explanation because somebody at some point had to explain why that picture was funny in a way that made sense to him.
Yeah.
And it involved the word incongruity. And I love that. That is such a great little detail.
Yeah.
And I like shit like little tiny details as far as that goes. I loved about this movie, so I think it's why I'm willing to forgive some of its other like larger narrative flaws. It's because I think they did so much of the smaller stuff so right. Like I'm willing to forgive some of its other big problems.
Yeah. At the same time, though, like I felt like it had those weird Star Wars Force Awakens moments where they had that weird thing with the humor, where it felt like they had a kind of a weird thing trying to balance the humor with the drama.
I was okay with that.
Where, like, it kind of did that weird switch out of nowhere. It's just like, it's funny, but what the hell?
I don't know. Like, honestly, like, that didn't really bother me, though, because I felt like the characters are still being consistent to who they were.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, that's where good humor... I don't think it came from, like, the script. I think it just came from, like, this is how these characters would react in these situations.
Yeah.
So that didn't really bother me all that much. Especially, a lot of the jokes come from, like, Ben Affleck deadpan, basically.
Yeah.
And there are some parts where people were laughing. I'm not laughing. It's like, no, that's, like, legitimately what he would say.
Yeah.
So, like, it just happens to be funny. So, like, to me, like, that didn't really bother me too much, because, again, it just feels like, yeah, that feels appropriate for the situation.
Yeah.
Rather than kind of what I would, like, criticize the Star Wars Force Awakens, where, like, it did feel like something that felt more scripted.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, mid-game when, like, you have,
Kylo Ren and Poe Dameron.
yeah, going, do you talk, do I talk? That felt more forced, I felt, than anything this movie did. Because, again, like, I just believe, like, when the Trinity Killer comes out monologuing for whatever reason, like, that bothered me too. I'm like, you could have easily used this time to escape, you know?
Yeah. Or just kill them!
Yeah, but the other way, like, instead you would start monologuing, and then he goes like, do you understand what that feels like? Yes. Bang! and dead, and, like, Shane's in the corner going, I missed you.
Like, what the fuck?
I don't know, the guy's, like, the Punisher in this movie is just psycho enough and quirky enough that I believe he would say that. I mean, granted, you can see the twist of them coming a mile fucking away.
They don't set it up at all, yet at the same time, it's like, okay, I know they're gonna jam this in here. When they're hitting, I was like, oh, no, no!
Like, that didn't bother me at all, because, like, I don't know, it made sense to me.
You came out of bumfuck nowhere.
No, I disagree. I mean, like, obviously the way they're saying up, the brother didn't show up at any other flashbacks, so obviously they were saying for somebody big. And it made sense to somebody who had the same training regimen as Ben Affleck to also be a psychotic killer of some sort. So, like, in this place, they just happened to cross paths. Yeah. I was okay with that. It made sense to me. I don't know.
I don't know, it just, as I said, it felt like there wasn't much of a good setup. And the fact that it felt like a very anticlimactic thing to just kind of, like, end the killing just so they could have an easy opportunity to have the, albeit very funny moment, just shoot John Lithgow in the head.
And yet I was still surprisingly okay with it, because I liked their interaction. I thought they had good chemistry, and I enjoyed listening to them talk to each other. And it was like, honestly, I kind of wish I had more of that. But, like, at the same time, I was like, I don't know, it just didn't bother me, because, again, I just thought the characters were well-written enough. Again, minus monologuing Trinity Killer.
That was the other thing. Once again, like, I don't know. Like I said, it's like the characters. Like I said, I will say this, and I agree with you. It's like they're not really that well developed, but they are for the most part incredibly entertaining.
I don't know. I'd say they're developed enough. I think you're being a little too harsh on this movie.
Not really. I'm just saying like it's an okay movie. I'm just saying that it's like these aren't particularly deep characters, or like,
I'm not saying they have to be, but I thought Ben Affleck was perfectly developed.
He was fine, yeah, but it's just like all these other characters, just like it just, I wouldn't say it felt like dead weight. It's like, okay, I feel we could get some more here, like, because, like, as you said, Anna Kendrick's character.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, I'm not saying I disagree that some of the characters were unnecessary, but the characters I felt like were important. I thought they were fine.
Yeah.
Even J.K. Simmons I thought was fairly well developed by the time the movie rolled around, or by the character rolled.
I don't know. It's just, for me, it's like I felt like they were all kind of two-dimensional.
I disagree. I think you're wrong about that. But I think there's enough layers to them. I don't know. But, and, like, even the Anna Kendrick, I feel like I had an idea who her character was by the time the credits were all around. I don't think she was two-dimensional. I wouldn't say the Punisher was two-dimensional. If anyone was two-dimensional, I would say, like, the main villain, I guess, which is...
he was one-dimensional.
Yeah, well, yeah. But, like, honestly, I thought everyone else, like, it was pretty clear what the motivations were. It was clear why they were there. It always made sense why they were there. To me, and I felt like they had enough backstory to make sense of why they would make the decisions they made. As far as I'm concerned, like, they're not the deepest characters in the world, but I thought they were well developed. Fine. I don't need Shakespeare with this movie.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't expecting that either, but it's like, I just feel, it's like they're all relatively kind of standard characters.
But yet, I'm still invested in them. So, like, I'm not, again, they're not, you're right, they're not the most deepest characters in the world, and they're, for most of them, do fill a particular role, but at the same time, they're played by talented enough actors that can add nuance to the standard archetypes that I still find them interesting, or at least I want to learn more about them and learn where they're going.
Fair enough. So, like, no, I can agree with that.
Okay, we can find common ground. Yeah. And I honestly also really liked the twist at the very end.
That was a good one. It's like...
I honestly thought that was clever, and I also thought it was kind of sweet too.
Yeah.
So, like, that one really kind of like, oh, that one got me a little bit. So, spoiler, obviously, because it turns out that at the beginning of the movie, and there's a lot of little touches with the way that like they show Ben Affleck dealing with autism too. I thought was actually very clever. But at the beginning of the movie, they show Ben Affleck's parents taking them to basically Center for Behavioral Therapy. But at least that's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
And you see these charts in the background, like of different kinds of faces, which are supposed to dignify certain kind of emotions. And a huge part working with people with autism is the fact that reading emotions is insanely difficult.
Yeah.
Either they don't understand it, or they don't want to look at you long enough to register it. It's very, very common. But anyway, and I like that chart. And when he opens the drawer to, then Ben Affleck later on opens a drawer to his trailer, and you see that same chart there because he needs to be reminded of that. Yeah. Or even like in the flashbacks when Ben Affleck's in prison with the other guy from Arrested Development.
Yeah, Jeffrey Tambor.
Yeah, and he's there, and again he's kind of doing ABA a little bit, where he's like, okay, what is it? I'm using these inflections. What does that mean? And then Ben Affleck sends up talking about every topic, and like, no, don't get off track. Yeah. What am I sounding like?
Well, that was the thing. Like, he kind of took things, like, very literally when he talked about it. I was like, well, of course you're this. You're such and such. I was like, no. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah. And, like, honestly, this one's more common with Asperger's than any other kind of autism disorder. Yeah. Now, granted, Asperger's, based on the DSM, is technically classified as
social autism.
Yes, now it is. It wasn't before. But that was a very recent change in the DSM they made. They made autism part of the... Asperger's part of the autism spectrum. Right. This was largely for insurance purposes, because before, Asperger's was not covered by insurance because it was not technically a form of autism. Now it is. So now it is technically now it's technically covered by insurance.
Right.
So there you go. You learn something new on that topic. But anyway, the sweet twist at the end. Now, while he's there, and the parents are talking to the therapist, Ben Affleck is working on this puzzle upside down, which is kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Of Muhammad Ali, which is like, okay.
So I wasn't sure if they were... Was the thing just straight up on the table, or was it already in something?
It was in a box, and they show him flip it over.
Okay. Well, I mean, the pieces when they were being constructed. Given it shows up later.
No, they were already upside down because the way he opened it, all the pictures of the faces on them were already like flat against the table.
No, I knew that. I mean, was it in... Because, okay, at some point this shows up later again in the film.
I'm assuming it's the same puzzle.
No, it is. But I just didn't know if it was like, was it already in the frame, or was it...
No, it wasn't.
Making sure.
No, it was done after the fact.
Yeah.
But because it was done on a glass table, that's why I may get confused.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, so while he finds but he's freaking out because he found out he has a missing piece, and he's trying to figure where's the missing piece. He starts having a panic attack / tantrum, and this girl who has severe probably cerebral palsy, I'm willing to guess, because the way just severe body tics, can't sit still, has to be constantly moving something, which again is a more severe form of autism, borderline Down syndrome, depending on the neurodevelopment.
I didn't know about that, actually.
That's actually autism comes in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
For some people it's verbal. A lot of autistic kids, especially since I worked with, can't verbally talk. They have to have some kind of device to communicate.
Right.
Which was the case for this girl as well. Others have very strong verbal emotions, and that also takes a lot of self-control to contain. Ben Affleck has it very mildly. I guess he's high functioning.
Yeah.
So he does little things like blowing his fingers for sensory input. Stuff like that. Pretty much everything you know about autism, as far as stuff like the hitting and stuff like that, that's all for some kind of sensory input.
Yeah.
So it's just to feel something, basically.
Yeah, I remember they mentioned that in the beginning too, which was good to kind of put some context into it.
Yeah, it's very, very complicated. It's one of those diseases not diseases, but it's one of the disorders we don't fully understand.
Yeah.
And that's why more autism diagnosis become more and more common, is because we are learning more about it, not just because we're making shit up like some people believe.
Yeah.
Which pisses me off to no end, but that's a whole nother topic. But anyway, so this woman with severe autism is kind of freaking out in the corner until she sees Ben Affleck freaking out about the puzzle, and she sees the puzzle piece. So she kind of learns self-control, and she finds the piece and gives it to Ben Affleck. And they don't bring her back for the rest of the movie, except that you learn that Ben Affleck has one person that he can trust that basically takes care of all the heavy lifting stuff for him. Like, he can erase his identity, create new ones, do all that fun stuff. He just doesn't have a British voice that sometimes says heavy sigh, which I'm like, okay, that must mean
Yeah.
That must mean she's saying that so Ben Affleck understand what she's trying to say.
Because that was one thing, is like, I couldn't tell if it was like a because like I could.
Yeah,
I was trying to figure. I was like, that sounds like a computer, but at the same time, that's a really good speech thing.
I know, right? Well, because apparently Ben Affleck can buy really bitchin' sound system, like a computer system.
Yeah.
And it turns out at the very end of the movie that it's actually this severely autistic girl. And like, I honestly thought that was a really good twist. Because it shows, again, kind of what the message they said at the very end of the movie, too, which I honestly really liked, was autism is not the end of the world. There's ways to they're brilliant in other ways. In fact, the movie also highlights many other famous creators that were autistic, like the Prince of Mathematician or Lewis Carroll and stuff like that. And then I think even Albert Einstein might have been autistic.
They said, I believe they said he had Asperger's.
Yeah. So like,
or the guy who made Pokemon.
Was he autistic?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he was like full blown or if he had just like Asperger's as well, but I know he has some form of autism.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like the fact they can go on to lead successful lives, or that they're just brilliant in other ways, and I thought that was like a really good way. It's like, okay, she overcame her physical disability in a way that was very, very helpful and useful. Like I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
And I like kind of what they had said at the end of the movie. It was like, we just gotta find like, if we define these kids by what society wants, they're going to fail miserably. But if we find new rules and find ways for them to communicate and bring them out into the world in their own way, then they can really make something of themselves. And I thought that's a great message.
And I agree with that.
This wasn't the kind of movie I was expecting a message from, but I thought it was still a good message nonetheless. Because even like for all the narrative plans it had, it did take very careful effort to at least try to get autism relatively right.
Yeah.
And I respect the movie for that. Honestly, the best for autism I've ever seen on a screen, either movie or television, is still Parenthood. Which, if you haven't seen that show, go watch it because it's a great show.
Will do. I've heard good things about it.
It's on Netflix, but like one of the main characters' son has Asperger's, and it takes it very, very seriously. And honestly, like it goes all through the ups and downs and all the terrible way the parents are handling it. There's honestly a scene, I think, towards the, I want to say a 6th season that honestly made me cry, and it's very hard to get something to do that for me. But I've started rewatching it recently, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually really good. Like, better than I thought good.
Yeah.
And I know I'm doing most of the talking in this review, I apologize.
Yeah.
I found it interesting because as a kid watching the show, I was kind of thinking, like, I don't know, this kid seems kind of like a spoiled brat. I don't know if anything like, I don't know what's the big deal here is, but now as an adult understanding, I'm like, oh, okay, I can definitely, you get a better perspective the more you research about it, and it's amazing how people get so many misunderstandings about it, myself included.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I also like, I even liked how like the voice of the autistic girl that Ben Affleck worked with has a smiley face as the contact picture. I thought that was a really nice touch too, kind of thinking back on that.
Yeah.
So honestly, the more I liked about this movie, I'm willing to forgive the stuff I thought, and I agree with you. The problems that you point out, I do agree with. They just didn't bother me as much.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and even like, I felt like, again, going back to the character thing, I felt like honestly a lot of what wasn't explained, I got from how the characters were talking to each other. Like, the Punisher, for example, when he has that scene with his brother towards the end, when he realized, like, oh shit, it's my brother, and then they kind of have their falling out. I understood it perfectly, because it's an older brother just insanely frustrated with having to deal with his autistic brother his entire life. And that builds up some frustration.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying it felt like the fact that whole thing just, like, it happened in a weird spot that just kind of interrupted the narrative.
But at the same time, I think the fact I saw it coming kind of helped me prepare for it more, so it didn't bother me.
No, I saw it coming too, and I didn't want it to happen because like I said.
No, maybe that's the ignorance. I was totally down with it.
Yeah.
And I guess you just weren't on the same page with that, which is fine.
Yeah.
But to me, like, I think I was honestly waiting for them to actually talk to each other, and apparently you didn't have that same expectation, or you're hoping for something different, which is fine. But I think that might be why it bothered you more than it bothered me.
Because I see that whole thing as like kind of as a narrative negative. Because you saw it as a build up. Some things like I kind of saw it from the get go and not in a good way.
And I think I'm thinking about this more from a character and a personality standpoint, where you're thinking more of it from a script writing narrative standpoint.
Yeah.
Again, which is perfectly legitimate, but I can see that's probably where opinions are divided there.
And that's understandable.
Yeah.
Because, like...
But either way, can we both agree this is not 53% bad? At least, like, a 65, 70.
Well, for me, like I said, it's a 5 for me. Like,
I think it can at least a 7 for me. But, yeah. I also think, like, anything, like, close to 5, they consider, like, bad. Like, it's kind of a boring sit at the very least. But I was still entertained throughout. So, like, that gets at least a 6.
Yeah, fair enough. Because, like I said, for me, it was with all the narrative dead weight that happened throughout, like... Which was thankfully offset by the entertainment, like when the good stuff did happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it felt like two separate. Oh, not I wouldn't say two separate things, but it felt like.
No, like, and I get that.
It felt like an incongruity.
And again, like, I get weird perspectives on that, but I'm saying, like, I feel like people are being too harsh on that as carrying the rest of the movie down, which I don't think it does. So, like, I don't know, I feel like it's in our case of critics being a little too harsh on a movie that doesn't deserve it.
I'm not sure. For me, it's the whole thing that, like, it needs to meld well for me. If the whole thing doesn't mesh, then very rarely does it work out. Like, Storks was kind of an exception.
Storks was amazing. I don't care what anybody fucking says about Storks. I thought Storks was amazing.
You
back off!
You... Just imagine you saying that to everyone who, like, tries to poke you about saying, oh, you like the movie? I didn't think it was that great. No, I thought it was like, back off!
You didn't like Sausage Party? We didn't like Sausage Party. I thought Sausage Party was great. You're just wrong. You're just wrong. Back off! Fucking Sausage Party. Yeah.
At least we can agree that was an overrated piece of shit.
But yeah, so I think just based on the fact that I've done a lot more talking and I have my own personal experience with this, I think I just got a lot more out of this than you did.
Yeah, and that I can definitely understand. It's kind of like, was that South Park episode when they went to Hawaii?
Oh, which one was it? Oh, the
one where, like, they're trying to calm down Butter's anger issues.
Okay, which part about that episode particularly?
Oh, just all the little ticks about Hawaii itself. Specifically the fact that they went to Kauai. So, like, all those small places that they mentioned, like, oh my god, I've been there! I know what they're talking about! And, like, but the funny thing is, I remember I was like, I still don't like this episode, but I find those parts funny for, like, similar reasons.
I don't think the episode was that bad.
It was
I mean, it wasn't a great episode, but I was like, it was tolerable.
Yeah. They've certainly had way worse than that one.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Which one was their worst one?
Honestly, I want to say A Million Little Fibers.
Oh, Tally? Yeah.
Oh, no! That... I think the rehab one, I think, was even worse than that. I'm not a fan.
Pretty much any episode with Tally.
First one was fine, but after that, it's like, okay, just no more.
Yeah,
just get him out of here.
Which I think it's fun they even made fun of towards the end.
Yeah,
it's like everyone most hated character Tally. Buy his T-shirt today. But yeah, so I think based on what we've talked about, you kind of get an idea whether or not you like this movie.
Yeah,
I think there's enough. I think there's enough reason to like it, to support it.
Like, I certainly don't regret watching this movie.
No.
But I just kind of wish I paid a little bit less.
Welcome to my world, dude. Yeah. And I'd buy other people's tickets when it's a bad movie, all right? So,
to be fair, I did at least cancel this one when that was owed, so I did save you some money.
To be fair, there was a fair reason why.
Yeah. Yes, there was.
Which we won't talk about on camera for legal reasons.
I got sick for reasons.
That's a whole other topic I don't want to get into because I don't want to get angry again. But anyway, let's talk about trailers. So we got... I'm so excited, dude. We got a January Shyamalan film. I'm so ready. My body is ready. For whatever the fuck James McAvoy is doing.
Oh my god. And remember the funny thing is, like, when the trailer starts off, I'll get that later. It sounds like this parody Harry Potter music. And then it turns to, like, this kidnap thriller. And apparently he's, like, this psychotic guy that has, like, God knows how many split personalities. And I remember the moment that
I think he said, like, 26 or something.
Yeah. I remember the moment that decision where he was like, he said, my name's Hedwig. And I was like, there's the Harry Potter! It's like, dear God.
I know, like, when the trailer started and I realized what it was, I start giggling like a mad scientist. And I'm like, and he's like, who is that? I'm like, just wait. And because I'm waiting for the words from the writer of to appear. And as soon as it's done, I go, and just watch your face go from, oh.
That is.
Because when I saw that trailer when I saw the wildlife with I saw the Magnificent Seven with Matthew.
Right.
And when it came out, we were in a crowded theater too. And when as first it was like from the writer of The Sixth Sense, I went, oh no, just loudly. And then like it was Mason transformation because it went from like oh no, and then like this huge just shit eating grin just took over my face. And I turned to Matthew. I'm going.
Like, you look like the rabbit from Secret Life of Pets.
Yes, I did.
Buckle in!
Yeah. Kind of feels it. Dude, it's going to be a train wreck. I know. We're going to hit it. Go.
That is... If it's anything like The Visit, I'm going to have a good time.
Honestly, I've heard people call it like a legitimately good movie because they premiered at a film festival not too long ago. But I don't know. It might surprise us, but if it's a good Shyamalan movie, good. If it's a bad Shyamalan movie, better. So I'm excited about that one. And then we got The Edge of 17, which might be worth it just for Woody Harrelson.
Oh my god, it's the first thing that happens.
Just cynical, pessimistic Woody Harrelson smarming the fuck out of high school.
It's like this girl just like, I'm gonna kill myself.
Funny, I was writing my suicide note just now. My one brief moment of heaven is the
32. My brief 32-minute lunch break, which is my only solace of heaven, is interrupted by this other girl who decides to walk in every time and completely destroy it. And just like, the way he's mocking to her about suicide right in her face, like, oh my god. And then in the end, where she like, basically posts this, actually sends this sex message to someone. And
then he starts reading it, and he says like, oh, this seems harmless enough, and I want you to put your mouth on my tit, and keeps going down until he finishes it, and the girl looks horrified. It was the girl from, the Jeff Bridges movie a few years ago.
Oh, is that Haley Steinfeld?
Yeah, True Grit. That's her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's her.
I thought she looked familiar.
Yeah, the True Grit girl.
By the way, she does pop music now, too.
Yeah, no, she was in, what was that?
Pitch Perfect?
Yeah, Pitch Perfect, too.
I just remembered the other funny moments we forgot to mention.
But no,
I'll get to that later.
Yeah, but then he, looks at text and looks at her, and she goes, you want to be careful with run-on sentences.
It's like, holy shit. On that topic, there is the one Anna Kendrick moment we forgot to mention.
Which part?
When she learned about...
Oh, yeah! the scene
we'll get to that later after we...
Like, the scene I had to lean over and you go, did that just happen? I'm just like, where's that girl? Goddamn. Then we got Allied, which is the new Brad Pitt...
Marion Cotillard movie.
Whatever that...
it's basically, ironically enough, this is like World War II Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
More or less.
Much more dramatic bent, because supposedly his wife is a German spy.
Although I would love it if Brad Pitt also used the phrase, thanks for giving me the shaft at some point during this movie.
Wait, why?
Oh, did you ever watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Not in a long, long time.
There's a part where he's in an elevator and Angelina Jolie decides to drop him, and then he pops up later and goes, well, what can I say, honey? Thanks for giving me the shaft. Best line in that movie. Well, Allie looks okay.
Yeah.
Then we got Miss Sloane.
Which, as far as I can figure, is all about some woman taunting the NRA.
I guess.
It's like, it's a teaser, so it's like, what the hell is this movie about?
I don't know.
Like, good cast, but...
One of the few trailers we got where it didn't tell us the entire fucking movie. And then we got Passengers. Which one was that one?
That was the one with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt, where they're like the only ones on a
that one looks interesting.
We'll see.
I'm curious. I'm curious. I guess it's great, but it's got my attention. I'm curious. I like Chris Pratt. I like Jennifer Lawrence, so...
Yeah.
It's gonna be another busy fucking Christmas season where no one's available. I'm gonna have to see like Thousand Eats by myself. It's already that time now. Goddamn. I had to I was gonna see the movie much earlier this week, but I got rescheduled like 5 times. And in fact, if you were available tonight, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go see it by myself. Whatever.
And then I made myself available.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
On that topic, we need to go see Ouija, because apparently that's actually doing good.
I guess. Like, goddamn.
Then I looked at the right director, like, okay, now I would have felt more trustworthy had I seen that before.
Who's the director?
I can't remember, but he's done fairly decent horror movies. He did Oculus.
I still haven't seen Oculus. Here it's good.
It's not bad.
Yeah, we got Assassin's Creed, which we talked about 1,000 times, and we just know, like, whoever's doing the fucking advertising for this movie needs to go die in a fire, because its music choices suck.
He's a member of Abstergo and the Illuminati.
Just wants his movie to fail.
The Templars, there we go.
Yeah. And then we got Collateral Beauty, which...
yeah, the one with Will Smith, and he's basically talking...
Oh, the one that you either be kind of creative or really dumb.
Yeah, it's like, this seems like a Christmas, like...
Yeah, Christmas Carol. Yeah, I got that vibe,
Except
too.
Instead of the embodiment of the past, present, and future, it's the embodiment of, was it Life, Death, and Time?
Love, Death, and Time. Where love is Keira Knightley, sure.
And
I would have believed
Helen Mirren.
I would have believed it much more if love was Anna Kendrick. It's like, love is cute and quirky, but strangely fiery. God, I hope they cast her as Squirrel Girl.
I hope so, too.
I'm like, I would convert to any religion that would, like, said, we pray to God against Squirrel Girl. Squirrel gets announced, yes, I believe in you, Lord.
Yeah. Let's see, just like Judaism, no word. Christianity, no word. Buddhism, no word. Scientology, Anna Kendrick is Squirrel Girl.
Scientology, yes, Tom Cruise, I do believe.
Yeah, just like,
do you
I
believe?
hate being a man of my word.
I'm like,
oh, now I'm getting crappy flashbacks to that other movie called Do You Believe?
I know, and I couldn't resist the urge to trigger that little moment of PTSD. Then we got Live by Night, which is the... What?
Or just Faith in the Furious.
I forgot about that. Fuck. I barely remember a fucking thing from Do You Believe.
I remember a lot more than I want to.
I think I've started repressing bad memories of movies nowadays, because I have to keep reminding myself that I saw Dirty Grandpa this year. But yeah, then we got last one, we got Live by Night, which is a Ben Affleck gangster movie, which I'm looking forward to.
It's like written, directed by Ben Affleck, sold, say no more.
Cool, I'm down. So yeah, there's the one scene in this movie that we forgot to talk about, the Anna Kendrick scene you were talking about.
Yeah, so basically...
Okay, let me set this up, because I had like, this is the part it took me, let me flabbergasted for a second, let's try and lean over to you questionably. But there's the part where, Anna Kendrick is trying to explain something to Ben Affleck using the use of metaphors. I think it's just a terrible idea to do to somebody with autism. Because I feel like that's the thing, like, even when like his dad does it later in the movie, he's like, you know, people with autism don't really get metaphors, right? You know, it's not, I mean, some do maybe, but they have to be heavily explained.
Because that was kind of, this one fairly kind of was.
Well, yeah, but
eventually.
Either way, there's a part where she's like talking like doing like math competitions where they have to do like lightning fast and stuff. Like, for example, if you could do like this long number like 19,576 times 19, what would you get? And he's like 5 seconds there, he goes, the answer is blah 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 blah. And he was like, right? And he looks at her, and she looks at her and goes,
and she does, yeah, she does the lower lip bite. I'm just like,
and I'm kind of like, did I just watch Anna Kendrick get turned on by math?
And like we're trying to stifle ourselves,
because that's a fetish now, I guess. Show me your TI-83 calculator. Oh, solve for X. Oh.
Some things I don't want to see. That was one of them.
Baby, if you take your sine over my cosine, we can make a tangent.
You're kind of going on a tangent right now. I have no idea what this has anything to do with anything.
I'm just talking math, baby.
I feel like you just missed the double entendre.
Repeat it again.
It's like, I feel, indeed you are going on a tangent. I have no idea what any of this has to do with anything.
Oh, I noticed. I just ignored it.
Fair enough. But
much like Ben Affleck would do. But anyway, so, yeah, The Accountant. I recommend it more than he does, but I think based on what we talked about, you kind of get an idea whether or not you like this movie.
Yeah.
So, next week's going to be busy, which means it's going to be possible for me to get anyone to go see movies.
Yeah.
One of them's going to involve bribery of some sort, I know for a fact right now, because we got Ouija, I guess, which is apparently really good.
82%.
I saw that this morning. I was like, really? Okay. What else comes out this week? Community. I'm already on Rotten Tomatoes, so I can just go ahead and look, preferably if the same sites work with me today. Oh yeah, and then we got Jack Reacher.
Oh, that did a lot worse than I thought. Keeping Up with the Joneses, exactly what I expected.
Yeah, and then the one I'm gonna have to see, which is Boo! A Medea Halloween.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I also want to see Moonlight, though. And I finally found out what that movie's about.
What is it?
Basically, it is about about a kid. It's not actually dealing with a gangster per se, but he's actually in the closet and like basically kind of showing how his life growing up, kind of dealing with like a drug-addled mother and a gangster who kind of like takes him under his wing and like actually becomes like a friend to him while he's trying to navigate this relationship with this another boy who is a friend of his.
Okay. That'd be good. If you have time for it, like later on, I'm sure it'll probably pop up again during the holiday season. So
yeah,
I mean not holiday, Mega Award season probably based on like every poster and trailer I've seen for some movies, less about what the movie's about and more like, look at all these quotes and awards we've been given.
Pretty much. It's like,
look how awesome we are.
Yeah, it's like, this trailer's been approved by, for all general audiences, watch it, it's amazing! It's like, why is it amazing? It's amazing!
But what's it about? It's amazing! But what? Back off! And, so yeah, I think that's all I got. You got anything else, Grant?
Not really. Like I said, certainly not the worst movie I've seen this year. It's, it's definitely something I did not regret watching. Like, it had some good entertaining moments, and like I said...
I think there's a lot more to get out of this movie than meets the eye, personally. Yeah. Or at least I did. Yeah. Then again, I know a lot about the subject, so... Yeah. And granted, I'm only on the, like, keep in mind, guys, I'm not call myself an expert or anything. I've only worked in this field for about, I want to say, 6-7 months, and I know I'm just scratching the surface. So, like, this is all just based on what I know now. So if I'm wrong about anything, that's why, and I would welcome anyone that can correct me on anything, because I want to learn. So, just point that out. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Just so no one gets pissed at me like, you got this wrong, you an ignorant hack. I'm like, I am a little ignorant. I'm learning, so teach me. But anyway, so I think that's all we got. I'll see who I can range up for next week, and it's going to be hell. And then my birthday's next week, or the week after that.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm 25. Boo.
Oh, boo-hoo, I'm turning 28.
True, but you already passed that half-century threshold. You've had 3 years to cope.
Half-century?
Not half quarter century, thank you. I can't do math right now.
Are you kidding? At that point, it just goes downhill.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Happy birthday.
Dick. So, thank you guys for watching. See y'all later.